lunch. I hope you all are full and not sleeping. Okay, who all have read the case? Who all have not read the case? Anybody? Okay, that's a good sign for my class to start. Okay. Now let's start with the question. I hope I'm visible this side for them. Okay. Will you be taking this question? Yes or no? Whether you feel it was unfair, then put a raised hand as yes. You feel like do Cipla's business practices constitutes unfair practices? Yes. How many of you? Okay. Okay. I'm getting very few responses.
I have a question, sorry.
Yeah.
Unfair for whom? For the customers or for the
As an
US?
MBA student. As a student. As a
As
student,
an
what do you
MBA
feel?
student,
Yeah.
it can be-
You can, as per your opinion, what you feel. As per your individual opinion. What do you feel? It is unfair? Yes or no? You just yourself. Okay. So I can see this poll is getting 10% and no for how many for no? 90 to 10%. 10% for yes and no for 90%. It's a good sign. I'll start with you. Why you said no? Who said yes? Why?
So I think this is, if they do this practice for every patent out there, then this is not going to be sustainable for the entire environment.
So this is unfair for you because you feel that it is unethical practices.
Right, this will stifle innovation.
This will?
Stifle innovation.
Very true. Okay, write that one. This may discourage innovation. Can I write this one? Okay.
I think it is unfair for the businesses who are developing the original patents because they are like working on maybe 10 or 50 of the new innovations and then spending like maybe 10 to 20% of their sales on R&D, while the supply is spending only 2%, and that too is like subscribing to the journals. So it is unfair to like use the others R&D budget to develop your own product.
So I can say it will sunk R&D cost. Like more people may not be that much interested in putting their efforts on R&D. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
It will discourage the original R&D.
Okay. It may discourage R&D. I had other. Okay. You raised your hand. Yeah.
So, it's mostly related to innovation in technology. So just to add to that point, and the R&D cost and the entrepreneurship environment. So new businesses also don't take that risk without the patent protection, that 20 years patent protection. So that will that the entrepreneurial ecosystem will also will get affected by that. Not just the established company, but overall entrepreneurial ecosystem.
This may disincentivize. Am I right? Can
Yeah.
I write that one?
Yeah.
Or you have any point?
It's more about entrepreneurial ecosystem in that.
Okay. The entire ecosystem may hamper. The entire business ecosystem.
Specifically entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Entrepreneurship and ecosystem. Okay. May hamper. covered and you feel that should be written? Anybody which we have not covered? Okay, anybody who wants to just argue about the first point? Anybody who want to just disagree with the first point? Like discourage innovation. Nobody wants to argue upon it. Okay, tell me.
So, we have been the vaccine provider of the world, and the COVID vaccine also was kind of, it was there and it was like, it was manufactured, and kind of were able to move it forward. And so I don't understand how, maybe it is new drugs that we are not developing, but the people who are developing are also doing evergreen. So I don't think it is discouraging or stifling innovation anymore.
So who was the one who stated the first point? You have a counter argument?
So I think evergreening is a different thing. That is also an unfair practice, but that doesn't mean this not an unfair practice. I agree with you that maybe in case of life-saving drugs there could be some unique proposition where you can allow this kind of a thing. So, but in general, you cannot do this without any kind of regulation. You should not be able to not invest in R&D and just keep on reverse engineering patents.
I hope you want to not change your opinion.
No,
You
I
want to
don't
change
want
your
to
opinion?
change my opinion,
Yes,
but I
then
can
argue.
talk about it.
Yes. Then argue.
Okay.
Yes, then argue. Otherwise, you are agreeing with this point. That means.
Okay, so as you said, even if we are putting everything aside, and there has to be, investment in R&D, Cipla is also investing in R&D. 2 is life-saving drug. Is there a non-life-saving drug? There are. And if I'm talking about, if I'm getting it right, you're talking about the other cosmetic stuff. So what you're saying is, for let's say for example, AIDS medicine, should they be allowed, which Cipla is doing right now?
So I'm making the distinction of life-saving and non-life-saving according to the urgency of the situation. So in this case, there was an AIDS pandemic. Of course, all medicines contribute to your overall life.
Okay, I'll write your point. Life-saving pandemic should be encouraged. This will encourage life-saving. Your point is that. So I'll write it
But the
down.
R&D investment they're doing is very minimal. This is buying subscription to journals. So I agree with your point. In case of certain exigencies, they should be allowed, but not as a general framework.
Yeah, I wanted to counter Ravi's point about evergreening. So yes, evergreening, we agree that it is a wrong practice and unfair practice by the established pharmaceutical companies. But Cipla cannot say that just because you are doing unfair practice, we can also do it. So they have to see their own practices.
Okay.
That's why it is unfair.
Yeah.
So, fair unfair is a different judgment for a minute, but me as Cipla, I am being legal. I am following the law of the land. And the government or the Indian regulator, in all its, sensibility, has decided to, has allowed me to continue for a reason.
Okay. Now
So I'm just
after all
following the lay
this,
of the land.
Anybody who wants to change the decision, like initially we did a poll. Anybody who wants to say no, I now wanted to go to yes, who has said no, or yes, who has said wanted to go to no. Anybody? Anybody wants to change? Nobody. Now, at the end, I wanted to conclude by saying, what was the ethical dilemma? What was the ethical dilemma in this discussion?
Thank you. Very good. Great. And we'll start with you. How did that feel, and anything surprise you?
I was very much excited to present this,
Mhm.
and I liked the audience read the case. Nobody was there who did not read the case. So I liked that.
Very good. Interestingly, one of the things that we will do in our program is we'll never ask if you've read the case. We want to assume that you've read the case. We don't even want to imply that it's possible that you haven't read the case. That may not be true in your context, but it's an interesting expectation setting at the beginning. But yes, delightfully, we all read the case. Who'd like to start with some feedback? Yes, in front. Yeah, Nitya.
So you came in smiling, but I was very scared of you. That was the impression. And I think so Sayan had raised the point, and the way you responded, it was, I was okay, now I have to be really careful with what I say. So just, I mean, maybe you didn't mean that, but I got that vibe. So.
So I should not smile.
So I really like that you smile. I didn't get the same detail. I think you said that last time. Maybe not smile that much. But no, I think you were very confident, very assertive. Maybe the assertiveness. But one thing that I think was you let our conversation, or at that particular point, be too deliberate. That dragged on for too long, and you couldn't progress onto the no side, for example, or like other topics that you had, or provide closure. Maybe more structure.
Yes, here.
Adding on to this point, first of all, I like the way you started. And eventually, after asking the question, you go up to there and start any question. I think I totally got disconnected with the energy you started the very first moment, because that phase was so much wrong. And secondly, when you ask other people, the whole thing started. And all the discussion had only been on the 10% of the people who were against the side. Where are the opinion of the 90% people who are at the side to agree with the thing? And ultimately, when they are the last, you ask the people, 90% people, do you want to change your opinion? First, let us say your opinion. It may be possible that the 10% people who are the other side may have changed their opinion.
We had a strategy over there. We only wanted them to argue upon the.
No, and it's a good thing, but ultimately, why should I change my opinion before I even express my opinion? It may be possible that my point would be so good that the person who was against side came in a position to change his opinion.
Yeah, and I think on this point, it's be very clear, you're just teaching the first 10 minutes, and I think some of the groups are feeling like they have to move to the end of the class, and don't feel that you have to do that. And maybe you were feeling that you had to ask if they changed the vote and give closure, which if you'd had more time, you would have had the full discussion. So don't feel that you have to do that. Great. That's over here in the back.
So I've been there, so I'll say it's very difficult to, what you have in your mind and put it here and there in 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a very short time, and the feedbacks which you are getting is for like a 1 hour session. So understand that it is not going to affect that way.
Great. Yes, here.
So one thing that I like that, like compared to the previous 2-3 people who had come, you were at least moving around people. So that was creating sense of engagement, at least some liveliness in the class. That was one. Probably, I know you were short on time. That's why we said as an MBA student. But maybe 1 or 2 sentences that could have kind of helped me also and the entire class also, just to get more sense. And then you will get more engagement for your yes and no's. That was it.
Yes, here in the back.
So I loved your energy. I love the fact that even just in 10 minutes you were able to take care of so many nuances. You were moving around, you were in the back, you were making sure that the students are talking to each other. So I love your energy overall, and so many nuances you were able to take care of. So really loved it. One feedback that I have for you is your, not your handwriting, it's just that it's too small and too cramped. So from the back I can't really make out what's written in the last. So maybe just making sure that the dimensions of the classes might not be what it seems like in front.
Great. Let's take maybe one more and very quick.
So
Yeah.
your start was very nice. The energy level was also good. One concern that I had, you use the word argument, like you argue. Like you are not supposed to use that. Argument is an exchange of ignorance. You are supposed to facilitate debate, exchange of ideas. So they were supposed to rebut or counter the point. You could have phrased it better. But that's all.
Great. Well, thank you again. Group 10.